2 hours after his escape from the gate, Bilbo was sitting beside a warm fire in front of a large tent, and there sat two, gazing curiously at him, both the Elvenking and Bard. "Really, you know," Bilbo was saying in his best business manner, "things are impossible. Personally, I am tired of the whole affair. I wish I was back in the West in my own home, where folks are more reasonable. But I have an interest in this matter, 1/14th share, to be precise. Personally, I am only too ready to consider all your claims carefully and deduct what is right from the total before putting in my own claim. However, you don't know Thorin Oakenshield as well as I do now. I assure you he is quite ready to sit on a heap of gold and starve as long as you sit here." "Well, let him," said Bard. "Such a fool deserves to starve." "Quite so. At the same time, winter is coming on fast. Also, there will be other difficulties. You have not heard of Dain and the dwarves of the Iron Hills?" "We have, a long time ago. But what has that to do with us?" asked the king. "Dain, I may tell you, is now less than 2 days' march off, and has at least 500 grim dwarves with him. When they arrive, there may be serious trouble." "Why do you tell us this? Are you betraying your friends, or are you threatening us?" asked Bard grimly. "My dear Bard, I am merely trying to avoid trouble for all concerned. Now, I will make you an offer." "Let us hear it," they said. "You may see it. It is this." And he drew forth the Arkenstone. The Elvenking stood up in amazement. Even Bard gazed, marveling at it in silence. It was as if a globe had been filled with moonlight and hung before them in a net woven of the glint of frosty stars. "This is the Arkenstone of Thrain," said Bilbo, "the heart of the mountain, and it is also the heart of Thorin. He values it above a river of gold. I give it to you. It will aid you in your bargaining." "But how is it yours to give?" Bard asked at last with an effort. "Oh, well, it isn't exactly, but, I am willing to let it stand against all my claim. Anyway, I'm going back now, and the dwarves can do what they like to me. I hope you will find it useful." The Elvenking looked at Bilbo with a new wonder. "Bilbo Baggins, you are more worthy to wear the armour of elf princes than many that have looked more comely in it. But I wonder if Thorin Oakenshield will see it so. I advise you to remain with us, and here you shall be honoured and thrice welcome." "Thank you very much, I'm sure," said Bilbo with a bow. "But I don't think I ought to leave my friends like this, after all we've gone through together. Really, I must be going, and quickly." As Bilbo and his escort passed through the camp, an old man, wrapped in a dark cloak, rose from a tent door. "Well done, Mr. Baggins," he said, clapping Bilbo on the back. "There is always more about you than anyone expects." It was Gandalf. "There is an unpleasant time just in front of you, but keep your heart up. You may come through all right. There is news brewing that even the ravens have not heard. Good night." Next day, the trumpets rang early in the camp. About midday, the banners of the forest and the lake were seen to be borne forth again. A company of 20 was approaching the dwarves' camp. At the beginning of the narrow way, they laid aside sword and spear and came on towards the gate. Wondering, the dwarves saw that among them were both Bard and the Elvenking, before whom an old man wrapped in cloak and hood bore a strong casket of iron-bound wood. "Hail, Thorin," said Bard. "Are you still of the same mind?"
"My mind has not changed with the rising and setting of a few suns. Did you come to ask me idle questions? The elf host has not departed. Till then you come in vain to bargain with me.
Is there nothing for which you would yield any of your gold?"
"Nothing that you or your friends have to offer."
"What of the Arkenstone of Thrain?" At the same moment, the old man opened the casket and held aloft the jewel. The light leapt from his hand, bright and white in the morning. Then Thorin was stricken dumb with amazement and confusion. No one spoke for a long while. Thorin at length broke the silence. "That stone was my father's and is mine," he said. "Why should I purchase my own?"
But how came you by the heirloom of my house, if there is any need to ask such a question of thieves? We are not thieves, Bard answered. Your own we will give back in return for our own. How came you by it? Shouted Thorin.
I gave it to them, squeaked Bilbo. You, cried Thorin. You miserable hobbit. You undersized burglar. And he shook poor Bilbo like a rabbit. By the beard of Durin, I wish I had Gandalf here. Curse him for the choice of you. May his beard wither. As for you, I will throw you to the rocks. And he lifted Bilbo in his arms. Stay. Your wish is granted, said a voice. The old man with the casket threw aside his hood and cloak. Here is Gandalf, and none too soon, it seems. If you don't like my burglar, please don't damage him. Put him down, and listen first to what he has to say.
Never again will I have dealings with any wizard or his friends. What have you to say, you descendant of rats? Dear me, said Bilbo. You may remember saying that I might choose my 14th share. The time was, all the same, when you seemed to think that I had been of some service. Take it that I have disposed of my share as I wished, and let it go at that. I will, said Thorin grimly. And I will let you go at that, and may we never meet again. I am betrayed. It was rightly guessed that I could not forbear to redeem the Arkenstone, the treasure of my house. For it I will give 1/14th share of the hoard in silver and gold, setting aside the gems. But that shall be accounted the promised share of this traitor. Get down now to your friends, he said to Bilbo, or I will throw you down. What about the gold and silver? Asked Bilbo. That shall follow after, as can be arranged, said Thorin. Get down. Until then we keep the stone, cried Bard. You are not making a very splendid figure as king under the mountain, said Gandalf. But things may change yet. And so Bilbo was swung down from the wall and departed with nothing for all his trouble except the armor which Thorin had given him already. More than one of the dwarves in their hearts felt shame and pity at his going.